forget you. Go with God.
You listening?
The 13th Warrior, a 160 million bomb, where a Spanish actor plays an Arab and monsters are actually human. One of Hollywood's biggest disasters that, somehow, became a cult legend fans will die defending. But here's what nobody tells you. These are 20 facts about the 13th Warrior that are stranger than fiction. Number 1. Canada as Valhalla. Those stunning Scandinavian landscapes? The fog-shrouded fjords and coastal cliffs that scream, Viking homeland? British Columbia? The entire film was shot in Canada, mostly around Campbell River and Vancouver, with the crew freezing in Pacific Northwest rain while pretending it was the Norse frontier. To be fair, they sold it beautifully. The production design transformed Canadian wilderness into convincing 10th century Scandinavia, fog machines working overtime to add that Nordic mystique. But imagine being a Viking extra, historically costumed in fur and chainmail, standing in freezing Canadian drizzle, speaking fake Old Norse, while directors yell about authenticity. The real Vikings would have laughed themselves sick. Or maybe they'd recognize the suffering turns out. Miserable weather creates authentic Viking energy regardless of hemisphere. Number 2. The prophecy of the outsider. The 13th must not be a Norseman. When the Viking prophetess speaks those words, choosing Ahmad for a suicide mission, you might think it's convenient plot mechanics. It's not. That single line is the film's entire spine. The thematic anchor holding everything together. See, this isn't a story about a foreigner who happens to tag along with warriors. It's about how outsider status becomes sacred requirement. Ahmad isn't there despite being different, he's there because he's different. The prophecy transforms his isolation from weakness into destiny, his foreignness from liability into necessity. It's the ultimate reversal of every stranger in a strange land. Cliché, making his Arabic roots and scholarly nature not obstacles to overcome, but the very weapons the quest demands. And wait till you hear how that theme plays through every scene. Number 3. Prayers before blood. In a movie drowning in testosterone, axes, and Viking war cries, there's a quieter revolution happening. Ahmad stops to pray. Not once. Not as a token cultural moment. Constantly. Before battles. After victories. During chaos. It's written directly into the script as spiritual punctuation, marking time between the savage and the sacred. This was 1999, remember. Hollywood didn't do devout Muslim protagonists leading summer blockbusters. They especially didn't show Islamic prayer as armor, as centering ritual, as the thing that keeps a man whole when surrounded by violence. But here's Ahmad, kneeling on blood-soaked ground, reciting prayers in Arabic while Vikings stare in respectful silence. Faith becomes his actual shield, not the sword he awkwardly swings. It's representation by quiet persistence, not by announcement, making Ahmad one of the most radical heroes Hollywood accidentally created. Number 4. Fog as a character. Let's talk about that mist. That gorgeous, suffocating, omnipresent fog rolling through every exterior shot like smoke from Valhalla itself. It's not weather. It's not atmosphere. It's a character with stage direction. Each time the script calls for fog entry, it marks a threshold where fear transforms from myth into reality. The mist doesn't just hide the Wendell, it becomes them, a physical manifestation of the unknown swallowing rationality whole. Peter Menzies Jr.'s cinematography turns Canadian rain into liquid dread, making every outdoor scene feel like you're watching through frosted glass, never quite sure what shape is moving in the gray. And when the fog finally lifts, that's not relief. That's the moment when you realize what was hiding inside it all along. Number 5. The moment language becomes magic. Let's start with the most brilliant scene you probably didn't notice was brilliant. When Antonio Banderas' Ahmad sits by the Viking campfire early in the film, listening to their guttural Norse gibberish, something extraordinary happens. The sounds don't stay foreign. They slowly, almost imperceptibly, morph into English right before your ears. This isn't some lazy subtitle trick or voiceover cheat. It's pure cinematic illusion showing you Ahmad's brain learning their language in real time. No classroom montage. No 3 months later caption. Just the organic transformation of noise into meaning, capturing what it actually feels like when a new language clicks in your mind. It's linguistic sorcery disguised as a casual campfire scene, and most viewers sail right past it without realizing they just witnessed one of the smartest storytelling devices of the decade. Number 6. The king dies sitting. Most warrior kings collapse dramatically after their final battle. They fall in slow motion, hand reaching for sky, strings swelling, very Braveheart, not Beowulf. When Vladimir Kulich's Viking king takes his mortal wound from the Wendel's poisoned claw, he does something far more devastating. He sits, deliberately, carefully, on his throne crowned by approaching death. He spends his last breaths giving orders, settling accounts, ensuring his people survive his absence. The script makes his final exhale a ritual, not a fall, a conscious choice to meet death as a king, not as a victim. It's Old Norse stoicism distilled into one image. Death isn't the enemy, dishonor is, and when he finally goes still, it's not sad, it's sacred. That scene alone carries more weight than entire movies about Viking warriors. Number 7. The $160 million missed. Alright, let's talk about the nightmare behind the camera. The 13th Warrior started with an $85 million budget. Not small for 1,999, but manageable. By the time Hollywood finished panicking, rewriting, reshooting, and second-guessing every creative choice, that number allegedly ballooned to $160 million. Think about that. $160 million in 1999 dollars when Titanic cost $200 million and broke every record. This was supposed to be a mid-budget adventure, and it metastasized into one of cinema's most expensive cautionary tales about studio interference run amok. Test screenings went badly. The studio demanded changes. Director John McTiernan fought back. More screenings, more notes, more rewrites, more reshoots. The movie became a Frankenstein monster stitched together from competing visions, each revision adding millions to a corpse that was already cooling. And meanwhile, the bill just kept climbing. Number 8. The vanished score. Here's where it gets personal for film music nerds. Composer Graeme Revell, known for dark, experimental soundscapes, wrote the original score. Tribal drums, eerie vocals, unsettling textures that made the Wendell feel genuinely inhuman. It matched McTiernan's slower, darker, original cut perfectly. The studio hated it, scrapped the whole thing, hired Jerry Goldsmith, a legend, no question, to write something more traditionally heroic. Goldsmith delivered exactly that. Soaring brass, pounding percussion, triumphant themes that scream blockbuster adventure. It's good music. But it buried Revell's haunting original beneath Hollywood bombast, replacing atmospheric dread with orchestral confidence. Somewhere in a vault, Revell's score still exists, matching footage we'll never see. Two ghosts haunting the same tomb. Number 9. From Eaters of the Dead to Forgotten Epic. Originally, this movie wore its source material proudly. Eaters of the Dead, Michael Crichton's novel blending Beowulf with historical accounts. Great title, evocative, memorable. Then test audiences happened. Disastrous screenings, panic, emergency meetings. Someone decided the title was too dark, too uncommercial, too eating for summer moviegoers. So they renamed it The 13th Warrior, which sounds like a direct-to-video fantasy sequel. The new title couldn't save it. The movie opened 4th place behind The Sixth Sense and still bombed. Turns out when you spend millions remaking a film into something unrecognizable from its original vision, a new title is the least of your problems. But that original name? Eaters of the Dead. That's the movie McTiernan wanted to make. Number 10. The Real Ibn Fadlan. Here's the foundation everything else is built on. Ahmad ibn Fadlan wasn't invented for this movie. He was real. An actual 10th century Arab scholar and diplomat sent north by the Abbasid Caliphate, encountering the Rus Vikings and documenting everything he witnessed. His writings describe Viking customs, funeral rites, river trading, and yes, their terrifying reputation. Michael Crichton read those accounts and wondered, what if Fadlan's journey intersected with the Beowulf legend? What if a cultured Islamic scholar witnessed the monster, slaying myth made flesh? That question birthed the novel, which birthed this film. So when you watch Ahmad navigate Viking culture with academic curiosity and quiet horror, that observational tone comes from the real Fadlan's writings. History and mythology fused into one story, and somehow that's the most believable part. Number 11. Casting the stranger on purpose. Antonio Banderas playing an Arab diplomat sounds questionable, but it's not, it's deliberate genius. Banderas' Mediterranean features, Spanish accent speaking English, and European screen presence create something specific, visible otherness without stereotype. Ahmad needed to read as foreign to both the Vikings in the story and the American audience watching, but he also needed to be a relatable protagonist, not an exotic curiosity. Banderas threads that needle perfectly different enough to justify the Vikings' suspicion, familiar enough that we follow his perspective completely. His Ahmad is scholarly, skeptical, gradually courageous, never reduced to ethnic cliché. The outsider among giants theme works because Banderas commits to being genuinely out of place without ever winking at the camera. In a film full of 6-foot-plus Scandinavian actors, his presence amplifies the stakes just by standing next to them. Number 12. A legendary flop-turned-cult classic. Let's address the elephant-sized disaster. The 13th Warrior earned roughly $61 million worldwide, against a budget that allegedly hit $160 million. That's not just a flop. That's a crater. Disney took a reported $100 million loss. Careers stalled. The studio buried it. And then something strange happened. Home video, cable replays, late-night discoveries. A generation of viewers found it accidentally and fell hard. They praised the atmosphere, the dialogue, the respect for Viking culture, Banderas' performance, the lack of Hollywood cheese. Fans started defending it like sacred text, calling it one of the most underrated adventures ever filmed. Today, it's a genuine cult classic the movie Hollywood wanted you to forget that audiences refused to let die. Not bad for a legendary bomb. Number 13. Norsemen with Souls. Most movies treat Vikings as screaming barbarians with axes and bad hygiene. This film does something quietly revolutionary. It gives them poetry. These Norsemen quote verses, mourn their dead with songs, live by ritual and honor codes, joke with gallows humor, and treat death as a journey rather than an ending. It's based on actual Norse culture, the Havamal poems, the importance of reputation, the blend of pragmatism and mysticism. When Bullywhiff's warriors discuss battle strategy, they sound like military tacticians, not berserker stereotypes. When they sing over a funeral pyre, it's genuine mourning wrapped in celebration. This is one of the first films to depict Vikings as fully human violent when necessary, yes, but also funny, philosophical, loyal, and deeply rooted in a culture that's foreign without being primitive. It treats them with the same respect Ahmad gradually learns, and that humanity makes their deaths actually hurt. Number 14. Armor that tells stories. Look closely at the Vikings' costumes. Each warrior wears mismatched armor pieces of chainmail next to leather, Roman-style plates beside crude Norse metalwork, furs from different animals, helmets of varying designs. This isn't sloppy costume work, it's intentional world-building. Every piece represents a life conquered or survived. That Roman breastplate, taken from a mercenary 3 winters ago. That bearskin, the warrior's first solo kill. That dented helmet, his father's, worn through 2 generations of raids. The Vikings are walking museums of their own violence, each costume telling decades of battle history through accumulated gear. It's the kind of detail most viewers never consciously notice but subconsciously absorb, making these characters feel lived in and real. Their armor isn't decoration, it's scar tissue made visible. Number 15. The monster was human. The Wendel aren't demons, they're not supernatural creatures. They're humans primitive, bear-worshipping humans who've regressed into something primal, wearing animal skins and living in caves. The true horror isn't that monsters exist. It's that people chose to become them. This revelation transforms the entire film. It's not a fantasy. It's a clash between civilizations at different stages: agricultural versus hunter-gatherer, monotheistic Islam versus pagan animism, written culture versus oral terror. The Wendel represent what humans become when they reject civilization entirely, when they decide beasthood is preferable to society, and that makes them scarier than any CGI demon could ever be. Because deep down, we know that regression is always possible. The monster isn't outside humanity. It's the option humanity always carries. Number 16. The Lost Director's Cut. John McTiernan's original cut was slower, darker, longer, more contemplative. Test audiences apparently found it too grim, too deliberate, too uncommercial for summer 1999. So the studio panicked, brought in Michael Crichton himself to help re-edit, cut footage, change the score, brighten the tone, and hoped for magic. McTiernan's original version was buried, not released, not available, just gone, and fans have spent decades hunting for it like the Holy Grail. Rumors circulate about work prints, test screening copies, vault materials. Some claim it exists in a studio archive somewhere, gathering dust. Others think it was physically destroyed. Either way, somewhere between the film McTiernan intended and the film Disney released lies a ghost cut, potentially a masterpiece, or maybe just a different kind of flawed. We'll probably never know. It's Apocalypse Now Redux before anyone knew to make Redux versions. Number 17. Funeral from a Real Chronicle. That stunning boat burial scene where Vikings send off their chieftain in a flaming ship? It's not Hollywood invention. It's pulled almost directly from Ibn Fadlan's actual historical writings about a Rus Viking funeral he witnessed in 922 AD. Fadlan described the ritual in shocking detail. The ship prepared as a tomb, the deceased dressed in finery, the slave girl who volunteered to die alongside him, the fire consuming everything as onlookers watched. The film sanitizes some elements, but the core remains the idea that Vikings sent their honored dead across water and into the afterlife via fire and smoke. It's one of history's most documented Norse rituals, and seeing it recreated with this level of production design brings Fadlan's ancient words to life. The scholar who inspired the story is also the source for its most memorable image, Perfect Circle. Number 18. Hollywood's first Muslim hero. 1999 was a different era. Devout Muslim protagonists didn't lead Hollywood blockbusters. They barely appeared as supporting characters. So when the 13th Warrior gave us Ahmad, a Baghdad courtier who prays 5 times daily, quotes poetry, refuses alcohol, and wins through faith rather than force, it made quiet history nobody noticed. He's not secularized for audience comfort. He's not an exception to his faith. He's simply a believer thrust into extreme circumstances, and his beliefs don't weaken, they sustain him. In a genre obsessed with warriors who overcome through violence, Ahmad overcomes through adaptation, observation, and inner strength rooted in spiritual discipline. The film never makes a big deal of this. It just presents him as heroic, complete, and devout. For 1999, that was radical. For today, watching a major studio action film treat Islamic faith with this much casual respect still feels unfortunately rare. Number 19. Light That Bleeds. Cinematographer Peter Menzies Jr. did something fascinating with the film's color palette. Watch how daylight in this movie is cold, almost icy blues and grays that drain warmth from every exterior. Then watch how night scenes glow orange and red from torchlight, firelight, making darkness paradoxically warmer than day. The film literally shifts temperature with its mood. Outdoor scenes in safe daylight feel hostile and exposed. Indoor scenes surrounded by fire and shadow feel intimate, protected. It's backwards from normal human instinct, which makes everything unsettling. You never quite relax because your eyes are telling you something's wrong even when nothing's happening. That's high-level visual storytelling using light not to reveal, but to manipulate emotion. The movie bleeds atmosphere from every frame, and Menzies' photography is the knife. Number 20. The Viking ship that sailed to Disney. One of the full-scale longships built for the film didn't get destroyed or warehoused after production. It got a second life as a permanent exhibit in Epcot's Norway Pavilion at Walt Disney World. It's still there, suspended above visitors' heads in the queue for the Frozen Ever After ride, a genuine movie prop repurposed into theme park decoration. Which means a war vessel built for a violent box-office bombing Viking epic now entertains children waiting to see Elsa. It's the most Disney ending imaginable. Take the tool of fictional raiders, hang it over a boat ride about Scandinavian princesses, and call it Nordic cultural heritage. Somewhere, the Vikings are laughing, or possibly very confused. The 13th Warrior failed by every Hollywood metric and succeeded at everything that actually matters. From its authentic reverence to its accidental representation, it's proof that sometimes the best films are the ones studios tried to kill. If you love discovering these secrets, hit subscribe for more forgotten film history. Now go rewatch it knowing what you know. You'll never see that campfire scene the same way again.